In a shocking turn of events, the company that once revolutionized farming is now being accused of betraying the very people it swore to support. This is the John Deere scandal that's shaking rural America to its core. For nearly 2 centuries, the name John Deere has been synonymous with American agriculture. From its humble beginnings in a blacksmith shop to becoming a global powerhouse, this iconic brand has been a constant presence in our nation's heartland. Those familiar green and yellow tractors have been a symbol of progress, reliability, and the American dream. But beneath the polished exterior of this agricultural giant, a storm is brewing. Farmers across the country are rising up, accusing John Deere of turning its back on its roots and prioritizing profits over the very people who built its success. What's causing this upheaval, and how could it change the face of American farming forever? To understand the magnitude of John Deere's alleged betrayal, we need to journey back to 1837. Picture a small blacksmith shop in Grand Detour, Illinois. Here, a young John Deere crafted his first self-scouring steel plow, a revolutionary tool that would change farming forever. Deere wasn't just an inventor, he was a problem solver. He saw farmers struggling with cast iron plows that couldn't handle the tough prairie soil. His steel plow cut through the earth like a hot knife through butter, making farmers' lives easier and their yields more bountiful. It was the beginning of a beautiful friendship between John Deere and the American farmer. As the years rolled by, John Deere's reputation grew. Farmers whispered his name with reverence, passing stories of his ingenuity from one generation to the next. The company expanded, always with an eye on the needs of the farming community. Tractors, combines, planters. Each new product seemed to echo John Deere's original mission: to serve the farmer. By the mid-20th century, those iconic green and yellow machines had become as much a part of the American landscape as amber waves of grain. John Deere was more than a brand. It was a trusted partner, a fellow traveler on the long, hard road of agricultural life. Farmers knew that when they bought a John Deere, they were investing in quality, reliability, and a shared commitment to feeding America. The company's slogan, "Nothing runs like a Deere," wasn't just clever marketing. It was a promise, a bond between manufacturer and user that seemed unbreakable. John Deere understood farmers because it had grown up alongside them. It knew their struggles, their triumphs, their need for equipment that could weather any storm. For decades, this partnership flourished. Farmers could rely on their John Deere equipment, and more importantly, they could fix it themselves. A broken tractor wasn't just a machine in need of repair, it was a problem to be solved with ingenuity, elbow grease, and good old American know-how. John Deere provided the tools, and farmers provided the grit. It was a match made in agricultural heaven. But as we'll soon see, even the strongest bonds can be tested. As the 21st century dawned, bringing with it a new era of technology and corporate priorities, the landscape began to shift. The John Deere that had been a farmer's best friend for over 150 years was about to face its greatest challenge yet, and this time the enemy wasn't tough soil or unpredictable weather. It was progress itself. As we entered the digital age, farming, like every other industry, underwent a technological revolution. John Deere, ever the innovator, was at the forefront of this change. But somewhere along the way, the company's focus seemed to shift from empowering farmers to controlling them. And it all started with a computer chip. Imagine this. You're a farmer, and your trusty John Deere tractor, the one you've relied on for years, suddenly stops working. No problem, right? You've fixed it 100 times before. But when you pop the hood, you're met with a maze of wires and computerized components. And here's the kicker. Even if you know how to fix it, you can't. Why? Because John Deere has locked you out of your own machine. This is the reality farmers across America are facing today. John Deere has implemented sophisticated software locks on their equipment, turning tractors into giant green and yellow paperweights when they break down. One farmer put it bluntly: "It's like buying a car and then having to ask the dealership for permission to drive it." But it gets worse. These software locks aren't just an inconvenience, they're a direct threat to farmers' livelihoods. In the world of agriculture, time is money, and a broken down tractor can mean the difference between a successful harvest and financial ruin. One farmer shared his frustration. "If we hit a computer glitch during planting, we could lose 2.5 days waiting for a dealer." In farming, that's not just an inconvenience, that's money down the drain. John Deere argues that these locks are necessary to protect their intellectual property and ensure the equipment is serviced correctly. But farmers see it differently. To them, it's a power grab, a way for John Deere to monopolize repairs and force farmers into expensive service contracts. This shift has turned the relationship between John Deere and farmers on its head. The company that once prided itself on making farmers' lives easier is now being accused of making them unnecessarily difficult. It's as if John Deere forgot its own history, forgot that farmers have been fixing their own equipment for generations. The impact of these policies goes beyond mere inconvenience. It strikes at the heart of what it means to be a farmer. Agriculture has always been about self-reliance, about having the knowledge and the right to maintain your own equipment. Now, Farmers are finding themselves at the mercy of John Deere's authorized technicians, waiting days for repairs that they could have done themselves in hours. And it's not just about repairs. These software locks give John Deere unprecedented control over how their equipment is used. Some farmers report that their tractors won't start without an internet connection to verify the software. Others have found that used equipment they've purchased is unusable because the previous owner didn't transfer the license. This level of control has led to a bizarre situation where farmers don't feel like they truly own the equipment they've bought and paid for. As one farmer put it, "We're not buying tractors anymore. We're buying the right to use tractors on John Deere's terms." The shift in John Deere's practices has created a rift between the company and the farming community it once served so faithfully. Farmers who once saw John Deere as a partner now view it as an adversary. The trust built over generations is eroding, replaced by frustration, anger, and a sense of betrayal. As we'll see, this shift isn't just changing the relationship between John Deere and farmers, it's changing the very nature of farming itself, and the repercussions are being felt far beyond the fields of rural America. While farmers across America struggle with the new reality of John Deere's restrictive repair policies, the company itself is flourishing financially. In what some might call a cruel irony, John Deere's profits have been soaring even as the farmers who use their equipment grapple with mounting financial challenges. Let's break down the economic impact of these policies. In recent years, John Deere has reported staggering profits. In 2021 alone, the company raked in a record $7.7 billion in profits. To put that into context, that's an increase of nearly 100% compared to just a few years prior. These numbers paint a picture of a company that is not only surviving, but thriving in the current economic climate. John Deere's CEO, John May, has also seen personal gains that mirror the company's success. In 2020, May received a 160% raise, bringing his total earnings to an impressive $15.6 million. These financial rewards are a testament to John Deere's ability to capitalize on market opportunities and optimize its operations. In stark contrast to John Deere's financial windfall, farmers across the country are facing significant economic challenges. Many farmers operate on razor-thin margins, where a single setback can mean the difference between profit and loss. The inability to repair their own equipment quickly and cost-effectively is adding an additional layer of stress to an already challenging profession. Consider the plight of a farmer who experiences a software glitch during the critical planting or harvesting season. In the past, they could rely on their mechanical know-how to fix the issue and get back to work. Now, they're often forced to wait for a certified technician, which can result in costly delays and lost revenue. As one farmer lamented, "If we hit a computer problem during planting, we could lose 2.5 days waiting for a dealer." In farming, that's not just an inconvenience, that's money down the drain. The financial impact of these delays can be devastating. Farmers are reporting higher repair costs, reduced productivity, and increased uncertainty. The cost of outsourcing repairs to authorized dealers can quickly add up, eating into the already slim profits that farmers depend on to support their families and maintain their operations. The economic impact of John Deere's policies extends far beyond individual farmers. The agricultural industry as a whole is feeling the ripple effects of these restrictive practices. When farmers struggle, the entire supply chain is affected, from seed suppliers to food processing plants. One of the most concerning implications is the potential impact on food prices. As farming becomes more expensive and less predictable, those costs are inevitably passed on to consumers. Higher prices at the grocery store could become the new norm if farmers continue to face these challenges. Additionally, the job losses resulting from John Deere's decision to move manufacturing operations to Mexico are having a profound effect on rural communities. Over 600 workers in Illinois and Iowa alone have lost their jobs, leaving many families in dire straits. These job losses not only affect the workers directly, but also have a trickle-down effect on local economies, reducing spending power and slowing economic growth. In a broader sense, John Deere's actions are setting a dangerous precedent for other industries. If a company as prominent as John Deere can implement such restrictive practices, what's to stop other manufacturers from doing the same? The concern is that this could lead to a future where consumers have little to no control over the products they purchase, further eroding the principles of ownership and self-sufficiency that have long been hallmarks of American culture. As the economic impact of John Deere's policies becomes clearer, the urgency for change grows stronger. Farmers, consumers, and industry stakeholders alike are calling for a reevaluation of these practices and a return to the values that once defined American agriculture. The stakes are high, and the future of farming hangs in the balance. The restrictive repair policies implemented by John Deere have sparked a fierce response from farmers across the country. For years, farmers have been vocal about their frustration with the software locks and limited access to diagnostic tools and repair information. This frustration has culminated in a grassroots movement known as the right to repair. Farmers argue that the inability to repair their own equipment is not only an economic burden, but also a threat to their independence and livelihoods. Jake Lieb, a farmer who experienced the frustration firsthand, shared his story. During the 2023 harvest season, one of my tractors quit working, and a week later, my combine stopped working too. Both were new, and I was locked out from making any repairs myself due to software restrictions. Lieb had to resort to using an old tractor to avoid losing valuable time and crops, highlighting the critical need for repair autonomy. The right to repair movement has also led to significant legal battles. Farmers and advocacy groups have taken John Deere to court, alleging antitrust violations and monopolistic practices. One notable case is the Forest River Farms vs. Deere & Company lawsuit, filed in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. The lawsuit claims that John Deere has monopolized the market for repair and maintenance services by making crucial software and repair tools inaccessible to farmers and independent repair shops. This, according to the plaintiffs, has driven up the cost of repairs and caused harmful delays in equipment repair timelines. In addition to individual lawsuits, there has been a push for legislative action. In 2023, several states considered right-to-repair legislation, with Colorado becoming the first state to pass a law specifically targeting agricultural equipment. The Consumers' Right to Repair Agricultural Equipment Act in Colorado sets a precedent for other states and adds momentum to the national movement. Despite the challenges, the right to repair movement is gaining significant support from various quarters. In January 2023, John Deere signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with the American Farm Bureau Federation, agreeing to provide farmers and independent repair facilities with access to diagnostic tools, error codes, and other necessary information to service their equipment. While this agreement is seen as a step in the right direction, it has its limitations. The MOU allows John Deere to exit the agreement if state or federal right-to-repair laws are enacted, and it does not provide the same level of access as authorized dealers enjoy. Advocacy groups like the Public Interest Research Group, PIRG, are also actively supporting the movement. PIRG has conducted studies comparing the diagnostic tools provided to farmers with those used by authorized dealers, highlighting the significant disparities. According to PIRG, the customer versions of these tools are inferior and require farmers to go through extra steps to diagnose and clear codes, leaving them at an unfair disadvantage. The broader consumer rights movement is also rallying behind farmers. The passage of the Digital Fair Repair Act in New York, although limited in scope, sets a precedent for other states to follow. This legislation gives consumers and independent technicians the right to obtain the manuals, diagrams, diagnostics, and parts needed to repair devices themselves, albeit with some restrictions. As the fight for the right to repair continues, it's becoming clear that this is not just a battle for farmers but a broader issue about consumer rights and corporate responsibility. The movement is sparking conversations across industries, with implications for how we think about ownership and control over the products we buy. With growing support from farmers, advocacy groups, and some legislative victories, the right to repair movement is poised to challenge the status quo and potentially reshape the future of American agriculture. The technological revolution in farming has brought numerous benefits, transforming the industry. Modern tractors and agricultural equipment feature advanced capabilities such as GPS navigation, autonomous driving, and sophisticated data management systems, making farming more precise, efficient, and sustainable. GPS-guided tractors ensure accurate seed placement, minimizing waste and maximizing yield, while also enabling precise application of fertilizers and pesticides, reducing environmental impact and costs. Sensors and drones monitor soil moisture, nutrient levels, and crop health in real time, providing valuable insights for informed decision-making. This data-driven approach improves efficiency and adaptability. However, the increased complexity of equipment poses challenges, as repairs now require specialized knowledge of software and electronics. Farmer Sam Johnson shared his experience. "I remember when a broken tractor meant grabbing my toolbox and getting to work. Now it's like trying to repair a spaceship. I need a degree in computer science just to figure out what's wrong." Farmers are becoming dependent on manufacturers for diagnostic tools and repair information, which can be frustrating and costly. The agricultural industry faces the dilemma of balancing the benefits of advanced technology with farmers' need to maintain control over their operations. Farmers are calling for the right to repair their own equipment even as it becomes more complex, to reduce costs, downtime, and preserve self-sufficiency. The right to repair movement seeks a middle ground where manufacturers provide farmers with the necessary tools and information to understand and maintain their equipment while protecting intellectual property. By striking this balance, the agricultural community can thrive, adapting to future challenges while preserving the best of the past. As the right to repair movement has gained momentum, John Deere has sought to defend its restrictive policies. The company argues that the software locks and limited access to diagnostic tools are necessary to protect its intellectual property and ensure the safety and reliability of its equipment. According to John Deere, the sophisticated technology in modern tractors and agricultural machinery requires specialized knowledge and training to maintain properly. They contend that allowing unfettered access to repair information could lead to safety issues, improper repairs, and even damage to the equipment. By limiting access, they believe they are upholding their commitment to quality and responsible stewardship of their products. John Deere also points to the potential for misuse of their proprietary technology. They fear that if farmers or independent repair shops were granted full access, they could reverse engineer or exploit the company's intellectual property. This, they argue, could undermine their competitive advantage and the substantial investments they have made in research and development. In the face of growing criticism, John Deere has launched a public relations campaign to defend its position and maintain its image as a farmer-friendly brand. The company has emphasized its long history of supporting agriculture and its commitment to innovation that benefits the farming community. One of John Deere's key talking points is the recent Memorandum of Understanding it signed with the American Farm Bureau Federation. This agreement, they claim, demonstrates their willingness to work with farmers and provide them with greater access to repair information and tools. However, as previously mentioned, the MOU has significant limitations and does not grant farmers the same level of autonomy as authorized dealers. John Deere has also engaged in media outreach, publishing op-eds and granting interviews to present its side of the story. They have attempted to portray themselves as a responsible corporate citizen, balancing the needs of farmers with the necessity to protect their intellectual property and ensure the safety of their equipment. Despite these efforts, John Deere's justifications have done little to quell the growing backlash from the farming community. Farmers and advocacy groups have remained steadfast in their criticism, accusing the company of prioritizing profits over the needs of its customers. One farmer, Amanda Rojas, summed up the frustration felt by many. John Deere wants us to believe they're looking out for our best interests, but all we see is a company that's more concerned with lining their own pockets than supporting the people who've made them successful. They've turned their backs on the very values that made them an icon of American agriculture. The legal battles and legislative efforts surrounding the right to repair movement have also served to amplify the farming community's dissent. Farmers and their allies see these challenges as a fight for their independence and a rejection of John Deere's attempts to maintain a stranglehold on the repair and maintenance of their equipment. As the public debate continues, John Deere finds itself on the defensive, struggling to reconcile its stated commitment to farmers with the reality of its restrictive policies. The company's ability to weather this storm and regain the trust of the agricultural community will be a crucial test of its leadership and its vision for the future of farming. In the span of just a few decades, the iconic John Deere brand has gone from the farmer's best friend to a symbol of corporate greed and control. What was once a partnership built on trust and mutual support has been shattered by the company's restrictive repair policies and relentless pursuit of profits. As we've seen, the fallout from John Deere's actions is far-reaching. Farmers are struggling to maintain their equipment and their livelihoods, while the broader agricultural industry faces the threat of higher food prices and economic instability. The right to repair movement has emerged as a rallying cry, with farmers and their allies fighting to regain control over the very tools they depend on. But the stakes are even higher than just the future of farming. This battle is about the fundamental rights of consumers and the role of corporations in our society. If John Deere can get away with locking farmers out of their own equipment, what's to stop other industries from following suit? The path forward is clear. We must stand with the farmers and demand that John Deere and other corporations respect the rights of their customers. Only then can we ensure that the American dream of self-reliance and independence remains within reach for generations to come. The future of our food, our economy, and our way of life depends on it. So the next time you see a John Deere tractor in the field, remember the fight that's raging behind the scenes, and ask yourself, whose side are you on?